This is Occupier Kaylin coming to you live from Corinthian Baptist Church here in Des Moines. And this is a location for the planned Des Moines Town Hall meeting. And waiting for more of the city officials to get here. One person who was supposed to be here at the beginning is Representative Akil Abdul Samad, but he is at the Capitol in a debate on a bill, and he has to be there for that debate because they may be voting on one tonight. But he may show up or may not, but he sent a statement. So just waiting for people to get in here, and then we'll get this thing going. And the idea behind this is to figure out what people want the city to look like, to feel like in 25 years. So this is 2015, and this is supposed to be what people might expect or want the city to look like in 2040.
We live in that jail. Okay.
You lived there quite a while?
I just thought I'd say hi. I saw you at the rally yesterday.
Yeah, doing my stream thing.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd come and stream this.
Well, I think that's a good idea.
First we lived on Ingersoll, and then we moved further in. So first of all, the Moines schools were
So I'm just going to give you a look around the room.
suburban schools, and then, so that was the first reason. Then we moved into this area, so kids would have close contact with.
I've got a few here. I've kind of staked out my spot where I have a direct line of sight with the podium and the wall that is being used as a projection screen because they're going to be showing slides. Or maybe video clips, I'm not sure.
They in college or out of the house now?
But part of the format will be just addressing the whole room, and then there may be some breakouts where people will form small groups for some discussion. And I'll just give you a look at some of the books that have been brought here.
Well, I got to be chauffeur. She's homeschooled, but she took classes at Roosevelt and at Tina. At both.
This might be kind of hard to read, but it says...
So, yeah. But it's what
This is existing conditions workbook that they have here.
75.
And that will be something... There's a couple of those on each table.
my world.
And then there are just a couple of sheets of paper and an agenda format for use later on. People can take notes, or someone might be designated as a note taker for each table.
Yeah, like last night's game.
So that's pretty much how that's going to work.
Close to.
So some of the lights are off, so it'll be easier to see the screen, and that's why you can see what's on there now. And I will be able to more easily check the chat because I have my phone right in front of me, whereas when I was doing many other events, I have my monopod full extended and forward.
It's a nice evening again.
I didn't know we had cards.
Yeah.
Sure, it's
Yep.
keeping some people.
Yeah, it rained earlier today, but
Doing something.
Yeah.
but that stopped a little while before I went out to the bus stop to come over here.
No, it's nice out right now.
Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of stuff do you do there?
In research. So you don't find yourself seed corn. In order to make seed corn, you have to have two parents.
Yeah.
One that has the seed, the other has the pollen. You have to do tassel corn.
I grew up on a farm, but I never had to be tasked.
Well, I didn't learn anything about corn and breads in school.
Yeah.
But that's what I do. And I hope to make seed corn. Understand how to make seed corn. We just get them where the laboratories get them planted.
Yeah. Did you grow up on a farm?
These are going to be available. These are already
So we just moved to
tonight.
How about you want one?
I'm Minnesota, Central Park.
So I use this for tonight? Yes, okay.
Corn is sort of an exotic farm.
Oh, yeah. What did they grow up there?
Well, it was corn where you had to be able to make silage.
Yeah.
You never knew if it was going to get rain or not. And alfalfa.
My wife's cousin married a guy from up there. They have a strawberry farm, like Detroit.
Okay, that's a little farther north. Yeah.
I'm surprised that strawberries do well up there, I guess.
There were strawberry farms 25 miles from where I grew up too, in the St. Cloud area.
Yeah.
But they like irrigation. So they have irrigation in that area too.
As long as you can keep the critters out. Yeah, my two of my sisters who share a house have tried growing strawberries, and what they did, they just kind of, one of them built a frame and then filled it with dirt, and then they planted it in the dirt. So kind of raise it just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they had to put something around there to keep rabbits out, because there's a bunch of rabbits that frequent their yard.
Yeah.
So that's what they've had to do. But I'll tell you, there's some, they've got some good luck with the strawberries on some of the plants that survived the rabbits.
Yeah.
Is this your phone? That's my phone. Somebody's trying to do it.
Turn that off.
Yeah.
Oh, someone was making jokes about someone's phone blowing up from a call. Said it's a councilman. It's actually the mayor who said that.
Special permits, conditional use permits.
Yes, we do. When I was in journalism school in Missouri, I had to cover the planning and zoning committee meetings.
Yeah, they could be boring or very exciting.
Yes, depending on what's going on. That's right. Follow the mayor to the restroom so I could get him to answer my question when he came out. Yeah.
Where do you want to be just
That's taken right out of the sports reporter's playbook when they go into locker rooms and chase the guys. This was mentioned at the Freddie Gray rally yesterday.
That's where I heard about it.
Yeah.
And then spent some time digging around on the internet today to find out exactly, what the meeting was
Yeah.
about. So.
Yeah, I saw it originally from Makeo's post. Okay. And then people were sharing that. No one made a Facebook event for it, but I saw Makeo's post and others are sharing it. So, okay, I'm all over this. I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you live around here?
Yeah, I'm a Beverly East Sider.
Okay. Just on the other side of the river?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can look out my bedroom window over the river to see Mercy Hospital. In fact, I'm just a few yards south of University where it meets East 6th Street.
I think we'll go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone that is attending tonight. My name is Michael Ludwig. I'm the planning administrator for the city of Des Moines. And in just a few minutes here, I'm going to have Mayor County step up to the podium and greet you all. Overall, well, maybe I'll have the mayor do that first. If you don't mind. Would you want to go first? Okay, I'll let you do the welcome and then I'll go through the slide.
just want to thank everybody for coming. For those of you that remember a few years ago, we did another plan called the 2020 plan. And it's hard to believe that here we are 15 years later, and we're trying to think, what does Des Moines look like in 2040, and how do we plan for that? And as a result, we are moving down the planned DSM route. And it's sort of been exciting. We've been out to a number of different meetings, talking to citizens, talking about what they think about Des Moines, what they think the future looks like. Jackie Easley is sitting here. She's on the Planning and Zoning Commission and is vice chair. And so we're going to send a message to them, and they're going to participate in trying to create a plan, create codes, and create all the things that we want to see happen. Where do people live? Where do they work? How do the streets work? What are the nodes and connectors within neighborhoods in terms of streets and in places where we shop and get our groceries and get our haircuts and see our doctor and do everything that we need to do? And what does that mean today, and what does it mean 20 years from now, 25 years from now, and how does a neighborhood relate, and what is it that we can do to those neighborhoods that allows people to have a vision, have an opportunity, and say, this is why I want to live in Des Moines. This is what makes this place great. How does it connect to recreation opportunities? We've got 77 parks plus the waterworks, which is just a little park about 1,500 acres, and with a river that runs through it. We're always trying to think and respond. Our Parks Department is trying to think, what is it that we need? What are we hearing from the neighbors? What would they like to see in terms of amenities in those parks? What about the libraries? What about all the other stuff that we do? How about the streets and curbs and gutters and sidewalks? And how do we make safe streets? What are the things? Anyway, those are the kind of things that we want to hear from you as citizens about what Des Moines not only should look like next year, but what it should look like 20 years from now, 25 years from now. So we're excited to have people here and wanting to participate and sit down and have an open discussion about it. I'm going to quickly turn it back to Mike Ludwig, and he can kind of walk through what we're going to do and how we're going to operate the next session. So, Mike, you're on.
Just for your reference, a few city staff members that are here tonight. We have Scott Sanders, the city manager for Des Moines, is standing in the back there. Phil Delafield is the community development director for the city here. Bob Blanchard, who will be up here in a minute, is a consultant that we've hired to work on this plan. At this table in the very back, we have Sue Donovan. Sue Ann is our zoning enforcement officer and neighborhood inspections division administrator. Bert Drost, sitting at this table here, is a senior planner in our community development department. Catherine, in the very back there, is an intern from Iowa State who's working for the city. And okay. Just a couple housekeeping items. Restrooms are out in the hallway. To the right is the women's restroom out this door. To the left is the men's restroom. There's water and cookies in the back of the room here if anybody wants something to drink or eat. And with that, I'm going to just run through a few very quick slides before I turn it over to Bob. Des Moines has quite a planning history. Our first plan was done in 1909, so we're running on 106 years of plans in Des Moines. It was a plan for boulevards and civic spaces. So it primarily focused on the area around the Des Moines River in downtown, what we call our Civic Center Historic District. Would be the post office, the library, which is now the World Food Prize. There was a Coliseum, it was called. It's basically where the Riverfront YMCA is located, burned down in about 1947, and the Y was built on that site. The Armory building was later added to that historic district. That's where our community development offices are. City Hall, the federal courthouse, and the police station were generally buildings that were in that first plan. Our first comprehensive plan was 1928. So here we are in 2015, and we're updating another comprehensive plan for the city. Most recently, as the mayor mentioned, our last comprehensive plan was adopted in 2000, And so we are completing 15 years of vision from that plan. Significant portions of that plan were implemented. Probably the one thing that did not get implemented fully out of that effort was a total rewrite of the zoning code, which is included in this planning effort also that we will be working on over the next 2 years. We have numerous neighborhood plans in the city. 28 of our 54 neighborhoods have a recognized plan. And then we have participated in several regional efforts, which I'm just going to run through very quickly. First of all, this is just what our 2020 Community Character Plan looks like. If you've obtained a copy of that. We have...
Oops, you're backwards.
So in 2008, the state of Iowa passed some legislation called the Iowa Smart Planning Principles. There were 10 categories or topics that were covered by that legislation. About a year after this was actually in response to flooding across the state. The Rebuild Iowa office was established, and they were put in charge of these regulations. About a year after that legislation was passed, or two, the office was basically closed. And so there really has not been a state agency fully assigned to ensuring that the smart planning principles are being followed across the state. We fully intend to implement these 10 planning principles in our comprehensive plan update. The DART, our bus system, did a regional plan for basically out to 2035, so we're looking about another 5 years beyond that. There were some guiding principles that are listed up there for that plan. Basically, we want to improve the service, increase density along corridors to make that service more viable and obviously financially sustainable. The Capital Crossroads effort, which was kind of a larger region, it's about a 60-mile radius of Des Moines. It was led by our Des Moines Partnership. The city was a participant in that plan. There were capital committees that were established as part of that, and each of those reported back with goals and objectives that they wanted to complete for the metro region. And really this was about how Des Moines, again, competed regionally with other regions in Iowa, Cedar Rapids, large cities, metro areas, but also more than that. I mean, it was looking at Midwest, how we compete with Omaha, Kansas City, Minneapolis for competitive for our employers and the Tomorrow Plan was probably the largest regional planning effort that the city participated in. The city was a participant in actually writing a grant to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We received the Metro received a $2 million grant to do that planning study, and that was about a 2-year effort to create a regional plan. Again, it was looking at not how do we compete as cities within the Des Moines Metro, but how do we compete nationally as a region, and are we planning our infrastructure, and are we planning our growth smartly so that we're sustainable in the future and that we're competitive nationally. So with that, I'm going to turn over the presentation to Bob Blanchard. He's going to briefly talk about comprehensive plans, and then once Bob's done with that, we're going to break into 2 or 3 small groups. We have some facilitated questions that the staff are here to ask and get your input on, and then after that we'll hope to come back as a group and do a report session of what was discussed at the individual tables. So again, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Very nice turnout, and with that I'll turn it over to Bob Blanchard. Thank you.
Again, thanks everybody for coming out tonight. As the mayor indicated, it's the first time in 15 years that we're looking at the comprehensive plan. A lot's happened in those 15 years, especially in Des Moines, but not just Des Moines. A lot's happened regionally and obviously nationally. We've gone through a recession. A lot of changes have happened. Des Moines' reputation has grown incrementally, actually more than incrementally, nationwide. And so it was clearly time to reassess what was called the 2020 Community Character Plan. So comprehensive planning is an effort that a community goes through. It's really a vision of what we want a city to become. We've chosen 25 years as our time frame, so we're looking at 2040 as kind of that vision point. But while we realize that working out 25 years it's not a futile effort, but a lot of times it's kind of a best guess, and it's kind of getting people to imagine and dream what the city they live in is going to be like. When communities are committed to comprehensive planning, they'll reassess that plan every 3 to 5 to 7 years. So they determine whether there's been changes in the national environment, whether there's changes locally, make sure that the values of the community are still valid, and see whether there's a need to go back into that plan document and revise it in any way, or whether it's still valid. So a comprehensive plan is really what it says. It covers a lot of topics. The mayor talked about parks and recreation, our streets and our transportation system, land use, how the city is going to develop and redevelop in the case of an older community like Des Moines. We're going to talk about how comprehensive planning ties with the allocation of resources for a city. They can use the comprehensive plan as a basis for the budget, for determining where new and upgraded infrastructure is going to happen based on where development is anticipated to occur. A lot of emphasis has been made in Des Moines on neighborhoods. That's just not going to change. The neighborhoods are the building blocks for the city, and that is the way it'll remain for sure. I came to Des Moines at the end of last September, and we started this process in October. It's designed to be an 18-month process. So we're looking at having this planning, a new comprehensive plan in place February, March next year. But this isn't the only thing that's going to happen. When you do a comprehensive plan, you assess whether you're going to change directions. You also need to have a way for the plan policies to be implemented. The main way a plan gets implemented is through its land use regulations. So the second part of this process is that we're going to rewrite the zoning ordinance. And because you need to make sure that your development regulations, which are usually what Ms. Easley and the Plan and Zoning Commission, ultimately City Council, is how you implement this vision that's been imagined for Des Moines and the policy direction. So we'll be rewriting that. Obviously, I've mentioned that connection to the CIP, the Capital Improvement Program for the city, so that the budgets are prepared, so that the plan gets implemented, and staff resources are allocated to make sure that vision of the future gets implemented as well. So we've divided the process into 6 phases. We are just finishing the existing conditions phase and beginning this visioning phase, which is this exercise that we're asking people to come together and participate in now. At your table, there's a book called the Existing Conditions Workbook. We have a couple extra copies that people can look at. But that's basically a picture of Des Moines, the way it was at the end of 2014. It was an attempt to make information about the city be really readable so that you open it and you see some fun facts about your neighborhood or about the city, and you might be inclined to read a little bit more and learn even more. Covers everything from the history of Des Moines to how the city is governed, to where your property tax dollars go and how that's split up among the various entities. It talks about population projections. It talks about things like nonstop flights, so we can get to Florida. But it's a lot of fun and very useful information. I think you'll find lots of maps, lots of graphics. It's really very readable. So, like I said, we've got some extra copies for people to look at. So, and then after we get done with the visioning exercise, the vision will be presented to the City Council in June. We're going to begin testing some alternatives for the future of Des Moines.
Here's an example of what's inside this. I'll just give you a close-up picture as a map. I just opened up the random page.
We're looking at about February or March for the final document to be in front of Planning and Zoning Commission as well as City Council, which will be advertised public hearings where citizen comment on what the final proposal is will be looked at. So what we're going to do tonight is we're hoping that people will engage in a discussion about how you would like to live, what the city is your preferred city of Des Moines 25 years from now. So you have to be really forward thinking. So we want to hear what you like and don't like today. We want to hear what you would like the city to become over the next 25 years, and your ideas about what we need to do to get to that point. We've got some facilitated questions that will try to guide the discussion a little bit. We're not limited to those topics in any way, but the facilitated questions are an effort to get people talking around the table. If we could fill up 3 tables, it would be perfect. So I don't know whether this table wants to move over there. You guys are at a fairly long table. This one you get to look at each other. So if you can come up and join the other people, then we'll do that. Then with about 15 minutes left, the meeting's scheduled to go until 8 o'clock if you need that much time. What we'd like to do is each table would be asked to report out and tell the rest of the audience your ideas that you came up with and what your preferred future Des Moines is really like. So thanks again for coming. It's kind of a fun little exercise. You're encouraged to make it through the questionnaire because the last question is critical to this whole process, which you'll find. It's a little surprise. Thank you.
I wanted to say one thing. I was kind of hoping he'd be coming in the door here, but I got an email a little while ago from Representative Caleb Samad, who intended on being here this evening. He says they're still voting on the floor, and I said, please stay up there and let's get some things done. And so he's trying to get that to move forward. So we're looking forward to maybe seeing him before the evening's over, but he has been engaged in this process, and we appreciate his help as well.
One final thing, I just wanted to say, when you're answering some of these questions, the easiest way that 25 years is a long time to be thinking out. I still plan on being here 25 years from now. But where I've tried to come out with some of these meetings and some of the questions and thinking about them is, I have 3 young children, 6, 4, and 2, and I think about what do I want Des Moines to be for them when they grow up. Well, I hope they'll be able to stay here. I want them to stay here. I want them to have a job. I want them to have a place to live that they're comfortable in. That's what I look at. That's what, when I wake up every morning and I go to work and work on planning issues, that's what I try and think about is what kind of a city are we leaving for children that are going to grow up here. And so when you look out that 25 years, maybe look at it through that lens or whatever lens that you want to as to what you see Des Moines being and what it can be. So with that, we're going to go to these facilitated discussions. We'll probably be in those for about an hour of discussion, and then we'll come back as a group and report back what each of the tables had to say, okay? Thank you very much. Feel free to get water, cookies, whatever you want. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Bert Roston, the planner with the city. I've been with the city for about 14 years now, so we're just going to go around the table real quick and do introductions, and then I'll get started. I guess, yeah, good point. Just tell us what brought you here tonight.
Well, I attended the protest that went on yesterday. The last things I heard about it.
Good.
But as for the word, unfortunately.
Yeah, do you live in the area?
Yeah. I lived here for 17 years. 17.
Well, I'm Kaylin Strain, and as you can tell, I'm live streaming. I'm, ID independent. I work only for my viewers, so I go around covering events, different types of protests, and I'm a barely East Sider.
Welcome.
I'm Michelle, and I grew up here. I've been gone almost 15 years. I've been back about a year. I don't plan to be here more than 3 years. But I came from Curious, and it's just Des Moines is so different now. It's nice.
Yeah. So where were you for 15 years?
I lived 3 different places, like outside Chicago, Indianapolis, and Maryland.
I'm happy to have you back.
I'm Karen Lauer. We first moved to the area about 22 years ago, and we lived in Johnston, but we moved into Des Moines because the schools were better for our kids than the suburban schools. And you don't hear that very often, but it's the truth. We started off in the mayor's neighborhood. We lived on Ingersoll and decided to move to bring more diversity of experience to ourselves and our children. We live in Cheatham Park. And why I'm here is I want to be sure that all the neighborhoods receive the attention that they need. That, every neighborhood should have an action plan, whether they have the people in that neighborhood able to coalesce and come up with it themselves, or whether it's proposed by the city. There should be no neighborhoods left out for any reason.
That is the city's goal, to get to all the neighborhoods eventually. I think maybe, I don't work in that division, but I know that division has plans for like 25, 28 of the 55 neighborhoods. Yeah. So they're slowly.
Yeah, Capitol Park could use some help.
Yeah, I mean, I hate when I go to meetings and I say I live in Cheatham Park, and the whole room goes,
what?
It's near Riverbend. It's just across the bridge on 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Across the residential.
Across the freeway.
Okay.
I'm Michael Lauer. She and I are married. So I'm here, for many of the same reasons that she's encouraged. But I think the concerns that she expressed are my concerns as well. The diversity of the neighborhoods needs to be respect to encourage, and all people need to be treated with respect, and, by all members of society. And we're trying to live that and foster that in children. I think the city should take a similar attitude, because that's what makes the city rich. There are the people and the diversity of the people where everyone's treated well and respectful.
Hi, Greg Trumbull, lived here most of my life. I'm pushing 60. I like diversity. We like to see more of the acceptance of individuals. Instead, there's the differences that we focus on a bit of the bargain. I'm here to make a change and help out the community and the church.
My name is Claudia Hawkins. I actually live in West Des Moines and have lived in West Des Moines 30 years. But I've always worked in Cheatham neighborhood, King Irvin, right at United Way in DMAC, and worked downtown Des Moines. So I've spent most of my days, 12 hours most days, and I worship right at 9th and Forest in Cheatham, or King Irvin, right on that corner. So I worship and so I spend nearly half of my life in the city. Most of my volunteer work and all of my worship and my work is in the city. So that's why I'm here. And all of my grandkids, well, 5 of the 8 that are here in Iowa, live in Des Moines and live in King Irvin and Cheatham neighborhood. And so again, when we talk about, and they're young, and so when we talk about, and I'm going to be like him, I'm going to still be around, because I'm going to be living to be 90, so I'm going to still be around too. Still be around. So, and and I'm looking at, my kids will probably be here as well, and so I'm looking at being a part of and helping to plan and lay out that plan for what I would like this community, this greater Des Moines community, to look like and work for over the next 20 years, 30 years.
I know I've worked with you on some projects over the years. I can't pin what it was, but
I spent a lot of years at the YWCA and with Evelyn Davis and Tanya Tots and everybody else. So.
Might have been when you were with Evelyn Davis.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody. So tonight we're going to, as the people have said before, we're going to be talking about our different topics like housing, the economy, transportation, recreation, we talked about the strengths and the weaknesses of those, and things that the city can do to improve them. So in 25 years, we have the city that everybody wants. So the first question, though, is just kind of an icebreaker. It's what is your favorite memory of Des Moines? Just an idea to get everybody thinking on, like, what is it that makes Des Moines special? Like, give me.
I might start. I got the unity of the community. Well, I grew up in Chesterfield. Everybody knew one another, and the grown-ups, black community, it was a mix of the black was that if one person had something, a phone call, and the kid couldn't make it home from Scott School or down that road, these types of the unity of the community. Everybody knew one another in the community. So, my name is Greg, and the people I grew up with, the Patton family, the Humphrey family,
At the Pattons at the restaurant?
No, this was Preston.
Oh, leave the chairs empty.
Preston Daniels and his parents from back then. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
That's good. We've just done.
Just intro, so you didn't miss much.
I'm on tape too?
This is live stream. This is live stream.
Am I up or not?
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Introduce yourself.
Yes, please. Okay. Did you go?
Yeah. We've actually already
Sorry. Isaiah Knox.
Example of what you want.
What I want? I want a lot. If I can just give one example. My name is Isaiah Knox. I live up in River Bend, up on the river. What I want in my community is a good, safe place to raise my kids, my two kids, 10 and 12, where they have all the access and opportunities that are afforded to everyone else.
Welcome.
Thanks.
And then we said to live to be 30, 40, 90 years old.
Absolutely.
Right now we're just discussing what is your favorite memory from Des Moines. Whether that's in the last few years or as a child. What are your best memories here? You know, previous meetings, people have said things like the State Fair or River View, the amusement park.
I wasn't here then, so I don't know about what Riverview was like. I mean, Adventureland was an amusement park that, you know, I came here when I was a kid, but I've only been living in the city since end of December of '87. After I finished college down in Arkansas, I missed Iowa, so I came back, and I ended up in Des Moines.
Does anybody else have any favorite memories?
Well, the first thing that popped into my mind when you said that was just the explosion of joy in our neighborhood when Obama was elected in 2008. It was just joyous. And, you know, throughout the neighborhood, the people in the street, and it was just really, yeah.
Actually, in the whole world, for those who were very
That wouldn't have happened in Johnston. I can tell you that.
Well, my favorite thing about Des Moines is I feel it's just big enough. You know, people think there's nothing here, but really when you're here and you explore it, there's a lot to do. There's a lot that Des Moines offers. That's my favorite thing. It's kind of like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
We're just starting to recognize.
And I grew up in Seattle, so some of my favorite things are also having the access to the politicians. It is awesome. I mean, that is something that is right. First of the caucus, first of the country caucuses and all that stuff is awesome. Another thing is, growing up in Seattle, we didn't have the access to be able to do as many things in a day as you can do here, because like you said, it's just big enough, right? You can do 5 or 6 things in a day. You can go to the mall, you can go to a game, and you can, go out to eat all in one day, and it's like all right there together in a nice and tight-knit community.
With the bus line, with the curfew, like you said, with the curfew, get up after dark at 10, 11, 12, it's cut off just in time when it's too dark. But then back in the day, our parents were used to bed just before dark. So there's that part. So the bus line.
Only bummer is they don't run late on Sundays. That's a crapper.
Well,
Yeah, there's one right across the river. You know, you go east on University, right before you get to the river bridge, past the Des Moines Metro Credit Union is the dog park.
That's the one I go to all the time. It's great.
But I'm dogless, so I'm not qualified.
That's a good one.
Well, I'm owned by a cat.
I actually have, I live at 15th Street, West Des Moines, right, actually it's almost across the interstate from Dowling. And I've actually introduced some of my neighbors that live in their apartment complex across from me that think my yard is adjacent, you know, there just because, you know, they can use it for the dog walk. And I've actually introduced them to the dog park right off the interstate. Yeah. Because, you know, there's a dog park nearby. It's not very far. In fact, I'll give you a map to show you. I've actually pulled in my driveway and got the shovel and the shovel and the garbage can and say, you know, I'm really dogless for a reason. Okay. But anyway, digressing.
No, that's fine. So now we're going to talk about the topics I had mentioned: the housing, economy, mobility, recreation, etc. But I guess before we get started, at the end of this, we're going to have a reporter report to the overall group. Does anybody want to volunteer?
Looking at me, but that's okay.
I cannot, because I have to pick my son up, so I may not be here when we report.
All right. Okay. I'll try to take some notes so you can read.
No, there's paper there, so you know, write stuff
If you
down.
want to take notes too. All right. So housing. Think about where you live, whether it's a house, apartment, or condo, and think about the housing around you. What do you think are the strengths of the housing in Des Moines? Maybe it's the architectural styles, or the sizes, the ages, the affordability. So I guess, what do you guys see as the strengths of Des Moines housing stock?
Well, as a whole, the historic areas, you know, I think that's a real plus, and that they're being renovated and preserved. I think that's definitely a plus. But I have more to say when we get to the next.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yes, everything you said though, size, affordability, the location is actually good to where, you know, for where I work.
I don't know, I'm getting ready to get on the negative report here. But, you know, the vacant properties that is owned by the city, is there a timeline, a required time for the city to be responsible, get those taken care of? Yes.
Yeah, I know the Parks Department is responsible for that. Okay. So if you ever see a lot, don't be afraid to call.
Call and let them know.
Okay.
Okay.
I have the number if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
I have the picture. For our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's.
They go on and on.
Yeah.
Well,
we're close. That's okay. All right. I guess might as well jump into the negatives. And again, the whole point of this meeting is to find out what the issues are. So don't be afraid.
Not so much negative, but areas of improvement.
Yeah. I mean, don't hold back. I mean, that's why we're here.
To the diversity of the housing stock, I think, you know, there's a lot of diversity that kind of extends into the correction. You know, there are vacant lots, some of them are clean and some of them aren't. And then there are homes that are boarded up and roofs collapsing and nothing's being done about it. And some of them, you know, it'd be nice if those that could be salvaged were. but those that are beyond the pale really shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard somewhere that the budget for that's pretty limited.
Right, and so maybe.
But I think it should be increased. If it only costs $15,000 to tear down a decrepit house, and I watched one torn down in our neighborhood, they were done in a day.
Yes.
It was
so
just
you
gone.
think it was about 15,000?
That's what I thought I read in the paper.
Somewhere.
That could maybe be a goal of the plan, is to make taking care of the public nuisances more of a priority, to focus more resources.
I mean, in our zip
At
code,
least in this table, we
have the most abandoned properties in the city. And what does that do for the children who live in this neighborhood? How can they feel that they're part of something larger than them that cares about them, when nobody cares to even take care of?
Yeah, in Cheatham Park especially, there's some that are very visible from the freeway. I don't know how they still stand there.
We have let's see, 2 houses down, there's one, 3 houses down that way, there's one, behind us there's one. I mean, it's just, it brings you down.
And it's gotten worse since 2008.
Yeah, that's when we moved to the neighborhood.
There's several homes that were lived in or being worked on that are now abandoned.
So is there an agency or an office in City Hall to go to and drop a complaint card or suggestion card?
In the community development department, there is the neighborhood inspections division that does the inspections, and when a property gets bad enough, then it's going to be declared a public nuisance. And the city does some boarding, but the budget.
Yeah. An example of that was back in 2012. It was like early May of 2012. I was, a group from Occupy Des Moines. We were scouting houses that are bank owned, that have been foreclosed, but not made attractive to buyers. And we picked the worst one that was still bank owned, that had not been sold. And we just took the morning and literally cleaned up the yard. We cleaned up all the debris that's outside. We obviously couldn't go inside to do anything, but we did what no one else wanted to do. I mean, there were frequent calls to the city. The neighbors were called. Nothing was done. And then we came along. We knocked it out in the morning, just cleaning up the yard. We hauled away 2 trailers full of yard waste and debris and trash. But we left signs to show, we did this. This is who made the mess. This is who needs to clean it up. And something needs to be done about these bank-owned properties that are not made attractive to buyers. Who wants to buy a yard that's a property that looks like it hasn't been lived in for 50 years?
And I know you probably want to move on from this, but there's one other concern I have are rental properties. There are houses in our neighborhood in which people are living. No one should be living in those houses. There's one that's an old house that's divided into a duplex that 5 years ago there was a fire on one side. So that side's boarded up. And there are boards on the windows, but somebody's living in the other side. There's another house that there's a hole in the roof and there are people living in there.
Do you ever call in to the inspectors? I know Cheatham Park probably has their own neighborhood-based inspector.
We haven't, but
that really concerns me.
Yeah. But I mean, so does the inspector ever tour the streets and look?
Yeah, there's an inspector all the time. It's out in the neighborhood. I know they're very busy too, but you shouldn't be afraid to call the community development department and report a lot of that stuff. Too. So I hear prioritizing taking care of these public nuisances, but another priority could be doing more to prevent houses from ending up that way in the first place.
Well, I think the landlord concern is valid too. People that are living, out of the city and just taking cash rent, and they really don't take care of the property because they're in it for money. And I don't know how big of an issue that is. We were told that in our neighborhood that is happening on some of these properties.
I mean, it happened in the house that I was renting out. I mean, it was a nice relationship that I had with my landlord, but I mean, he had a business that he ran himself. He never took care of the house. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm kind of we're speaking up when it comes to the census and coming off of those cruises that they go on with our rent and so forth. So outside. If you were to go inside, you infest the rats and everything. So you don't want a fire to break out. So that's what we're speaking of, right?
And the one positive about rental properties is that they do have to be inspected every 2 years to get the rental certificate renewed. I know a lot of landlords probably just do the bare minimum to pass inspection.
And it's not just houses, it's apartments that have been causing problems for some people. I used to do work as a home health aide, and the bed bug incident over in Elsie Mason Mountain and Lagudi Tower, I had clients who were severely affected by those bed bugs, and it took some work just to, they finally sued in order to get the proper treatment done. And I'm so glad they won that case because they deserve that. Oh yeah, I had 2 clients who are bitten up big time. And yeah, these are not the ones that 2 others that I worked with in the Elsie Mason Maryland, and then I was in Lagudi also and saw some of that, but Elsie Mason was worse.
Did anybody?
The positives about if the city were able to take care of these things, then you could have more Habitat for Humanity houses built on those lots. I mean, you're infilling properties that are not making the city any money.
Or even groups like Rebuilding Together. They helped me do some work in my condo a few years ago.
To be honest with you, I'm even okay with having more green space in those empty lots, knocking them down and just leaving them vacant. Right, urban gardening. We want to do a lot
community gardens. Yeah.
Community gardens would be a better use of those.
Yeah.
And houses are stacked on top of each other so tightly anymore that it's nice to have some area for kids to play. Because if we're on the sidewalks are terrible, and have
or non-existent.
Oh, the third paths. True.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
No.
Does anybody have any ideas for programs the city could have or implement to encourage better home maintenance, whether it's owner-occupied or rental? The city currently partners with the Neighborhood Finance Corporation, the NSC, to give people grants to do some home improvements. Right.
I was a landlord, so I do know that the like you said earlier, it's the bare minimum is not a lot to pass inspection. So maybe increase the expectations for those renewals of the rental certificates.
Jack the standards up.
Right. And that's something the city could do and it wouldn't even cost anything. Right.
I got one. I live in an apartment complex, and so mine would be, is there an office for Dropbox suggestions, complaints of City Hall or elsewhere that we can get improvement of housing or to bring down a house or something of the sort, City Hall, the government official. The other part is we'd like regulations on people that do move in. They come in with drugs and stuff, and then eventually the police are there. That's what we're going through right now. Some other tenants that have moved in apartment complexes. And my older brothers and sisters were landlords, and they had to go. And by the way, we thank you for putting up with a lot, for being a landlord. You guys have to go through a lot to the different changes. So is there an office, department in City Hall or somewhere for the Dropbox of complaints or suggestions of communities, houses, or apartment buildings and so forth?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
So
I would start with the Neighborhood Inspections Division. It's one of the divisions in the community. You can call 283 4200, and they would. It's the main receptionist for the department. They can transfer that. Okay. Otherwise, there's 283. Write that down. Sure.
That number's
283.
No, I mean, what office?
Neighborhood Inspections Division. Otherwise, the main number for the city is 283 4500. That's for the City Hall.
Yeah, that's the general office, but I'm always calling it other than the 4950 because I'm reporting potholes.
Or a dead animal.
Oh yeah.
Roadkill.
No, I haven't done that, but potholes, yeah.
I love NFC. people actually know about the programs there. I mean, we do. We're very plugged in, but we're also we're not socioeconomically disadvantaged like many people are. But how are they going to find out the information? Do they have
So maybe the city could do more outreach, like putting something in the water bill.
Yeah, outreach would be great, and maybe having more things like you said, grants instead of loans, or if you need some kind of a small loan amount, because people are not going to be able to take out a $20,000 loan to do things to their house. They don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me too, it'd be kind of nice if there'd be, and this is out of the box maybe, but coaching, but someone who actually knew how to do some of the rehabbing that could coach people who wanted to take it on themselves. Because, I mean, I figured out how to put the window, but I was so unsure of myself. I figured out how to put in kitchen cabinets, but I don't know if anyone helped me. We're not from there yet. Well, a little bit of coaching on some of those basic things could probably help a lot of people take that grant and be really efficient with it.
Maybe offer those kinds of classes through community continuing education or something like that.
Yeah. I know Home Incorporated, they do a lot of new housing for low income. They used to have a tool lending library too. I don't know if they still have that.
Well, they make Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, Habitat has the Restore. You can actually buy, you can donate, but you can buy from there.
If you had a loan or a grant from NFC, you had access to their tool lending.
Yeah, and maybe a good job to like putting fairly lengthy newsletter in the water bill to everybody that tells them about the NFC. About.
Of course, that doesn't work for those that don't get a water bill.
Well, the tool lending library too, you didn't have to have a loan. It's right around the corner from my house, and it was like $10 or maybe a month, something like that. Super inexpensive, and I used to tell them to keep my lawnmower over there for me, so I didn't have to have one in my house. But when it moved out to the Restore, they upped the price a lot, and it's so far away now.
So the library's moved to a library.
Yeah, it's at the Restore now.
That's too far away.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of us don't drive. I take the bus, so if it's not on a bus route, forget it. I'm not doing it.
Right.
And I'm not cabbing it.
You're not going to carry a lawnmower on a bus, right?
Well, I don't want to have a yard anyway. I'm the third floor of the building. Walk up, no elevator.
So, any more ideas on housing? I guess, what are the types of new housing?
I would like to see more, because I worked with disabled people, I would like to see more options for handicap accessible housing. And, for buildings that don't have elevators, maybe find some way to help them if they don't have the resources themselves to fund the addition of an elevator, maybe make some kind of a program available to help them do that. Like when I lived in Town Square Apartments, which used to be City View on in between Cracker and School Streets, when I first moved in, there was no elevator. And then after a few years, they put an elevator in. And so that made it easier for disabled people to live in that building.
Elderly, right.
Yeah.
I guess another word that sets some people off is the word density. As we talked about, the cities are going to continue to grow into the future, and I guess in order to accommodate the new residents, we're going to have to look at adding some density. So, what are your thoughts on like multifamily or townhomes?
They're fine. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone needs to have a good, safe place to live, though, right? A good, clean, safe, affordable place to live.
And it's going back to what Karen had mentioned earlier. Several of those homes that should be demolished would probably provide some places for property, because we kind of landlocked here with West Moines and Ankeny, and maybe some south side and north side expansion. Certainly the west side have no land there. But there's lots of abandoned homes that could be buildings that could be demolished and made spaces. duplex, yeah.
Yeah.
And, when you look at, you think about home Inc., but also when you look at the duplexes that at-home housing put in already with the community, which they maintain very well. And so they've been a great landlord with maintaining and making sure they work with their tenants and getting those inspections done. So, but yeah, there's, when as I said, I work in Cheatham and King Urban for the last 30 years. And so, yeah, there's a large number of properties that could be demolished and made place for homes.
Yeah, and I know some of our corridors really aren't ideal for like the single family, like for instance, University or East Portage. So maybe that could be a good place for the apartments.
Yeah, there are some areas I don't know the whole of Capitol Park because I just kind of stick to where I can go by bus. But there, from just the areas that I have been around, like around University, there are some abandoned properties that could be dealt with. They're not as bad as elsewhere, but
I think that new build is great, but in other cities, it seems like the trend is you're pushing people out who can't afford. So if you build these pretty buildings, but they're not affordable, where are people going? They're going out.
Yeah,
Some of it's
exactly.
hard for transportation because the DART bus only circulates. So that would be my concern, because the pretty townhomes are great, but where's everyone going?
Yeah, we keep affordable options.
Outside of the
and that goes back to transportation and jobs. If they can redo the neighborhoods where the people living there can afford them.
Exactly.
Then
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And you always hear that about East Siders always getting shafted.
You're just a near East Sider.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in a different, town square, but I've always heard about that from people who live on the East Side, and.
All right. Well, I think we should move.
Yeah, we'll move on. Oh yeah.
Chicken wings, Jackie.
What? Where are the chicken wings?
All right, so we should probably move on now to the next topic, which is the economy. So I guess think about your job and what other jobs are available in Des Moines. I guess what are the strengths of Des Moines' job market, and what do you see as the weaknesses? This topic probably should go to it.
We have way too many service jobs, part-time jobs. And, if we're going to be the city that Forbes and everybody is touting, our jobs we've got to reflect that. Our employment has to reflect the medical, the growing industries, which again brings us back to the tech jobs that are way out. But, we need the city to be thinking about where those medical and tech jobs are going to happen here in the city.
So the pioneers that office square, they went out. And a lot of bigger companies that were there went out. And there still are some companies that headquartered in there. But I think it's important to try to build more of that and more diversity too. It's not all insurance.
And the problem is, it seemed like how much the city had to subsidize, like Walmart
We would like to see in you guys' department, we would like to see that department being a little more reflective of the city as well.
Yeah.
So put that in your notes. We want that diversity that's here.
which our department does have not a lot. But
I might have to bring them out to show them off.
Well, Kathy Whitfield.
Yeah, I know Kathy Whitfield. Yeah.
But I think it's important to continue and expand partnerships with the public schools so that kids are maybe graduating from high school already with the skills that they can do more than work at McDonald's, because nobody can live on that. You know, that something has to be done to make a high school education
so they're prepared for
more
those tech
valuable
jobs.
for the jobs that we need to have. Yeah.
And more prepared for college too, because yeah.
Maybe I could be getting the high schools to do more partnering with the colleges. Like with
I mean, I know there is a program
DMAC
with
for
DMAC.
sure, and maybe some of
Yeah. And I'd like to see it that there's an active effort with built-in support, so that it's not just the kids that would be successful anyway, but maybe those kids that need a little more support, that they have those opportunities open up to them as well. But that takes more than just saying, oh, we have this program.
It's getting those people there,
yeah,
keeping them engaged.
A little more active intervention. I think that helps kids be directed, away from. I'm thinking of the unbalanced incarceration rate, where minorities are much more likely to be targeted, and then incarcerated. And I know I did things as a kid that if I'd been caught, I would have been put in prison under today's guidelines. And I know that if I had a different complexion, that probably would happen. It happened to me today. Yeah. And so so that's a fact. So how do we take those people and make them part of Des Moines' economy? I mean, is there a vision for that?
They call it rehabilitation, but it's not.
No.
It's not to full extent. More than we're working on it, by way of the ministry is going to send Bibles
Well, if that's implemented in like the high schools, because I mean, those classes you talk about, I mean, unless people are really interested in learning more, they're not going to go to them. So people who really need them don't get them. If it becomes a class that, because I mean, I took in middle school, high school, like the tech ed classes, the classes that are going to prepare me for the real world, but they don't really show you how to apply it. It's not. They don't really show you how to apply it. They just tell you background.
So if having intervention to really make it work and to give the economic.
But the issue is when you point out somebody and then go, hey, your path was wrong, you need to do this, that might make someone defensive, like, what's wrong with the way I'm acting?
Right. So
you need to provide it for everybody.
You're making a really good point, because how do you overcome that?
And there are programs like that. There is the support to try to help kids. Then there needs to be, this is your school year, and in the summer you've done this paid internship. So that I'm not talking lots of money, but a paid internship so that they're learning, like you said, how to apply what they're getting in the classroom.
And that could extend to, because they would be getting paid. Classes, how to manage their income to pay their bills, to be responsible with their money.
When I was in 5th grade, we did this thing called Exchange City, and we worked on balancing the books and all that, checkbooks. Barely saw any of that until the end of high school. Seriously, 5th grade I see it, but I don't see it again until after I'm getting a job. That doesn't make sense to me.
And too, I know in other meetings we've had like this, one of the biggest complaints has been the schools in the city are really very disconnected. Like, you do more to work together rather than operating in your own silos.
Especially for the special needs students that my oldest sister has worked with in all of her time at Weeks. She works at Weeks. That's the only school she's worked at since she started working for the district was at Weeks, and with the special needs kids, and they're not physical needs, but more of emotional or intellectual, and getting parents involved. She had to deal with students who parents never showed up for conferences. Parents never provided them with lunch money or signed them up for the free or reduced lunch programs.
Or emotional support for students.
Yeah.
So I know the city's Parks and Recreation Department offers some don't know if you call it seasonal programming. We have a couple of community centers. How do you feel about those? Do you see them as being effective, or are they?
They just started putting up the invitation and the hiring trailer or invitation for people to, a job description for people to apply for. So that's at Ewing Park and a few other parks that the billboard sign is right there, but you go online or you go to City Hall and put it out there. I think it's good to check out the newspaper, and City View has the openings and volunteering to lead people and mentor people to that. So the volunteerism in the new City View and the East
Events that are held at the park. Yes. You know, those are very I could only see benefit to expanding those.
We got Juneteenth coming up.
And nothing like that ever happens at Burke Park other than maybe the occasional neighborhood picnic or family event.
They used to have a splash pool there. Does that,
yeah, but you have to fill it yourself when you go there.
you have to turn it on?
Yeah, I mean you have to actually turn the spigot on to fill it. Otherwise, kids will probably skate in it.
And it's got the 20-minute warning, so we should probably move on to the next topic, which is transportation. So think about how you get around Des Moines. Do you drive? Do you take the bus? Do you walk or ride your bike? So think about the strengths related to infrastructure, and then think about the weaknesses.
The hills are killer when I'm trying to ride my trike.
Get away from those.
The trail system is awesome. It is. The sidewalks are terrible.
I'm working on the segues to the sidewalk entrances in some spots. Sherman Hills area.
You guys are getting work done?
No, not for trail, but
The sidewalk ends where it meets the street. Some of those, even over by the dog park, there's one that needs to be redone. It's broken there, and that's an accident waiting to happen.
So they've started Ingersoll and Sherman Hills in that park. And whenever I see someone walking, I always volunteer. We need more glasses.
More what?
And whenever I see someone walking, I help out. So we do need more transportation on the bus line.
why are there no bus shelters and benches anywhere?
They're working on it, but then
I mean, in this, the weather we have, there's like a month in the spring and a month in the fall when you maybe won't need one, but otherwise you need,
And some of the benches that used to be bus stops need to be switched because the bus stops themselves got relocated, so those benches need to be moved over there.
Just those things, that have the little shelter.
Yeah.
The one I always think of is in Windsor Heights is the Walmart and Sam's Club. You always see all those people there in their with like a little park bench on the pile of rock.
Like running out of Burger King as soon as the bus comes, right?
Yeah. Or you're in Walmart, you're in Sam's Club, you're checking your watch, and then you
miss the bus.
Yeah.
How about the Jefferson bus line? Is about where you see it, but it's dead. There's only 2 benches.
That has moved to, I don't know where the new bus depot is, but
The one on 2nd Avenue.
Yeah.
Picking up the one on 2nd Avenue.
Yeah, the megabus stops at the park and ride.
On 6th and Park,
Yeah, that's where that goes. That's where that stops now. The megabus, the 7th Street park and ride.
Is that still $1 or $2?
But it depends on when you book and which time of the day, where you're going. I mean, I went to Chicago 3 years ago. Even though I booked the night before, I got lucky with it. I paid $35 to go to Chicago, $25 to come back.
Is there an area to stand at by that? Because every time that I've dropped off a friend for the megabus, we're always confused and there's no clarity.
They don't do that.
No clarity at all. We drove around and thought we missed the bus.
I guess I'm not sure how megabus does it. I know
They pick a
Jefferson
spot and you
Trailways
drop it
has a
off.
place on 2nd Avenue, but
Which is an
I've also seen
improvement from where they
megabus
were
at
before.
the
Yeah.
Park and Ride, and they've also been at the Quality Inn, between 2nd and 3rd.
That's in 12 at night in McDonald's.
Yeah, we were there like 4:35 in the morning waiting, and we're confused. We're lost.
Yeah.
You see people on the street, and you think that they're waiting for the Makers Fest too, but it's 5.
Yeah.
So I mean, the bus system I think is really important. Having good, and then the buses are well maintained. I was riding a bus out counterflow out to Johnston in the morning and back on the express route for quite a while. Now we have another car, and it's great to have a car and not have to rely on the bus. But using the bus system made me feel good.
Yeah.
It took extra time, more than twice as long to get to work and more than twice as long to get home. But it was really nice to have it, and you get to see that it's really, really important to a lot of people. And not having shelters when, for people who had to ride home, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think, but it's better. It's much better now than it was.
And they're currently improving it also.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of
I think so too.
baby steps, but they're moving in the right direction.
But there are some streets that need some serious help because go over some, I was like, holy crap, is this bus going to stay together?
Well, it sounds like Dark's moving in the right direction, but maybe we can tell them to spend more on stops to keep people warm or comfortable.
We should be glad we're not in Japan where they got bicycles.
They don't have any snow.
Oh, it gets snow over there.
They do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I guess tying maybe Dart to like housing, do you think could be good, like focus our multifamily around Dart stops?
Or maybe Dart stops could be moved as well. Yeah. We don't have to be bound by their routes.
They went through a study a couple years ago where
they shifted a lot of them.
But then I see in my neighborhood request for transit where they have the small buses, the on-call.
Yeah, the on-call,
Several of my neighbors.
Well, what's the deal with the alternatives like Uber and all those things?
you said like
Uber.
Yeah, I have not actually tried it.
I know the city council recently changed ordinances to allow them so that Uber is operating, but I don't know.
Branded, that's upon your personal income.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's for the personal income.
It's more like the taxi system.
Yeah.
2040, there'll be driverless cars. There won't be any reason to own a car. You just dial it up. It comes to you, takes you where you want to go.
Air shuttle, or just space station.
We have friends that come from out of town, from bigger, larger cities that are and really rely on taxis and are really used to having the taxi and our taxi service is finally now expanding over this last year because Uber came in and kind of. But even coming from downtown, if you're down there and you want to take a taxi instead of driving home under the influence, the old taxi line they had, it was just terrible. The system's terrible. So I'm glad they're expanding, and that's good.
And there are more taxi options like Joyride.
All right, so moving on, I think probably down to like 10 minutes or so. Next topic's quality of life. So think about what you do for recreation in Des Moines and what is available, such as the parks, the trails, cultural events, different venues, athletics, etc. And so what do you think the strengths of those quality of life areas are and what are the weaknesses? Like I know we've heard trails is definitely
Trails is great.
Love the East Village.
I love the fact that, this is truly a family-friendly city. I mean, the events are usually family-friendly, but then that's why I tell my family members, if you're not family-oriented, this is probably not the place you want to live.
I agree. That's so true.
What I'm saying about the hidden gems. There's a lot out there for people that.
Well, like the Des Moines Social Club, I think their program is really appealing to young people.
And they put their flyers and information and information out as to some of the stops, at least west, north, and south. Places and activities.
Yep. I've been to some events in the social club, and that's a nice spot. What they did with that building.
I'm excited about the food trucks. I think that will be fun.
But your neighborhood has already had some food trucks.
Yeah, there is one that.
University.
Yeah, Takari and the Guadalajara parks on University in between Penn and East 8th in a vacant lot.
Yeah.
So
surrounded by barbed wire.
Actually, there are
up
food
north
trucks.
it's in food trucks.
University.
Yeah. It's on 13th and University and up at,
Taqueria Guadalajara.
There's several, yeah.
Their culture for Mexican, the culture for Mexico, the American fried chicken. Anyway, did you catch that? The Mexican tacos, but other fried chicken and
Greens and stuff.
But yeah, but she said that the tacos.
Yeah, that's not all of them, but the one at 13th is not. Sometimes they have, yeah. Yeah.
Where's that one?
It's at 13th.
Okay, so that's the one surrounded by the fence.
Like, was that a former gas station or something that's all paved over? I don't know.
The 13th and University near the Family Dollar.
It's one of the major corridors. You know, they have food trucks there. That'd be great, but a little bit nicer.
That's brand new. The B&B's will be there on 13th.
Is that University near the Family Dollar?
Yes.
I'm on the south side of Des Moines. That's where I grew up on. And for us, like McKinley, it's always broken down. Like the roads and ways, it's always hard. And I knew that I watched them fix it, but it took such a long time to fix just a single area. And then after
that bridge that's over there.
You really can't. So it's like the construction takes forever, which is a hassle to get around it. And then once it's done, it doesn't last very long.
Yeah, we've had that on streets in our neighborhood too. There's some that they'll be resurfaced, but then it seems like after just one winter, they're all crumbling and crumbling.
Yeah, it's like putting nail polish on.
Isn't it true if I run over a pothole and it messes up my tire, I can call you guys and they come? No, seriously, right?
Yeah, we need to get Bert's personal phone number.